Hello, Soul Tribe. I'm KamalaDevi, and today is Transgender Visibility Day. So I'm celebrating that by making a brief video about the significance of that, as well as the importance of using pronouns. And I wanted to give a brief update about my own gender journey and anything else that arises in my hermaphroditic heart. So Transgender Visibility Day is significant for so many reasons, and I will acknowledge that 2021, this year, is the first time that a president, US president, has actually acknowledged it publicly, and so that's special. Thank you, Biden. And it is also significant because we need more visibility, more acceptance, more resources. And part of its point is to look at who are the activists. Let's celebrate their hard work, who's in media doing the visibility piece, or transgender artists. And it's also a complement or contrast to, like, today we celebrate the trans movement, and in the past we've had Trans Remembrance Day, and we still do. It comes up in November, but we started off with, like, let's hold vigils and memorials for the trans lives that are lost to systematic transphobia. You know, there is always horrible suicide rates and murder and abuse and rape, and even the medical neglect and the medical like inability to address trans needs. I mean, it's really horrifying, and there's still a lot to mourn. So I wanted to contrast that even though today is a day of celebration, there is a lot of, like, it's a bittersweet moment when we look at the life and the challenges and the struggles that are faced by anybody who is in the non-binary or non-gender conforming identity or expression. And I wanted to make a few distinctions because we often hear, like, transgender and non-binary, and there's lots of different labels and titles, and I personally identify as gender transcendent, not non-binary, because non-binary often talks about, like, not feeling masculine, or, you know, not feeling like you're a man or a woman, or not identifying with the masculine or the feminine binary. And I'm, like, deeply embracing that there is a massive, like, there is a binary, and loving the deep masculine, loving the deep feminine. And the transcendent part is that although this body, my body, happens to be, you know, female form and often expresses itself in really female ways, the essence of who I am is very powerfully hermaphroditic. So I have a strong sense of you know, this masculine energy, and it comes through in my life's work. It comes through in my relationships, as well as just the way that I understand reality. And so there's, you know, often a disconnect between how I am at the soul level and how I am in the body, and that disconnect can be really painful. It sometimes looks like dysphoria, or just like a fracture. And fortunately, I have a lot of love and support and understanding, so that I don't feel really dysphoric. But I did have a number of gender counseling sessions, and am seeing the Transgender Health Center, which is prescribing testosterone for me to get more congruent at the not just psycho-spiritual levels, but also physical levels, that I'm more congruent with how I see myself and how I'm expressed in this body. So that's probably the most vulnerable thing I have to share, is a little bit about my own process. And I want to say, as a sex educator and role model, of 2 decades, like, even though I'm very well experienced and established in poly and kinky and kink and tantra and BDSM, the whole gender transcendence has been, for me, a very emergent process, and I'm very much in the uncertainty and the newness of it, and so I'm not an authority, and it's hard for me sometimes to share, what's happening, because I have a bunch of question marks and I don't have a lot of answers, and to come on camera and say, like, WTF, this is where I am today, and it's shifting for me. But I do want, because it's, Trans Visibility Day, I want to be visible and to share with you that I am resuming testosterone after 3 months of a pause. I took some time off after 3 months of an experiment to check in with, like, where's my center, where's my come from. A lot of the changes that I was noticing were euphoric and very aligned, very powerful medicine for me, expressing who I am. But then physically, where I was like getting hair on my knuckles, and like my brother-in-law was teasing me about being a werewolf, and like I wasn't sure. I was like, am I ready for the onset of late, like, puberty stage? Testosterone has certain irreparable or irreversible changes in the body, and I needed to do a little bit more, like, inquiry around how to use that medicine in a way that expresses who I am and continues the open question, as opposed to, going through this irreversible transition and not really knowing. And so I'm just really staying in tune with, who am I? How do I be that in the world? That's my journey. And with that journey, I want to say thank you, to those of you who are using my pronouns, they, them. It is such a gift. Like, when I hear it, people who know and love me are supporting me in that. And I wanted to, just speak to the importance of that. A lot of people like myself whose identity doesn't necessarily match the body, like, it feels very honoring when pronouns are either gender neutral or transcendent, or allow, or as long as the pronouns, like, kind of match the sense of self, it feels congruent. And when they don't, and when someone feels misgendered, it can be very painful, very, like, uncomfortable in the ear. So the invitation, if you know and love me, and want to use they, them in reference to me, it's usually when I'm not around, because that's how we talk about someone in the third person. Please do. And correct others if they don't know, just update them. But the other invitation is for you to look at what your pronouns are, regardless of your gender, regardless of your, whether you're cisgender or transgender, but introducing yourself. Like, if you're in a male body and you say, I use the pronouns, he, him, that's giving permission for anybody in the space to say, oh, these are my pronouns, and they match or don't match what my body is. And it's like saying, this is a sex positive space. This is a place where we honor that your sense of your gender is not going to be ascribed onto you, and you're not going to be put into a box, and you're not going to be, like, judged as either or. And so that is a big part of like, what it means to be sex positive, and to be to celebrate the visibility of trans. Because a lot of times you could be in a space and you could say, I don't see that anyone's trans, so I'm not going to mention my pronouns, and then it kind of creates invisibility. There's an erasure that happens. Whereas if you bring it up, whether or not there's people who are trans in the room, they then have permission, and it also honors in that conversation that there's that potential and possibility for people to have the experience of their genders not matching their bodies. And that's a very, important reality that we want to give space for more and more in sex positive rooms, as well as in the media, as well as, in our lives and in our work. And so thank you, today for listening and participating in this. If you have questions, I'd love to engage, and most importantly, I'd love to stay in touch about this. So I'll put a link here for my newsletter or free videos so I can stay in touch as I continue on this journey. I want to take you with me. All right, blessings.